Luz Amparo, tell us something more about this 360 degrees vision that you have started building.
This strategy of communication of citizens' culture is based on raising awareness, raising ownership of the people towards certain public behaviors and measures. It's not about brainwashing. This whole process is not about manipulating people's decisions and minds. It's about empowering them not to agree with the administration, not to like the administration, is to make them understand that they are part of the reality. We all live in this common space that is the city. And I think it's important because there is a very thin line there between manipulation and empowerment. And we are not doing this to rise compliance just by obedience or by force or by psychological manipulation, but by the empowerment of the individuals around their responsibility as citizens.
Which one are those key elements to build this new citizen culture?
Open data, very transparent information, and the way and especially the mayor has addressed the citizens has been very direct, very simple, and with very simple messages and very empathetic, and putting the care of citizens at the center of the whole management of the pandemic.
Which are the main key stakeholders in this process?
The mayor invited, for example, key stakeholders from the private sector and the media, who joined her, and she explained everything in a very pedagogical way. I mean, she's been like a teacher, teaching everybody, all the stakeholders, all the citizens, how this pandemic is evolving.
Is there any kind of a specific,
When you ask about gender, I would like to refer to the fact that the whole approach is based on a care system, on caring, and if you think about feminism, and this is a very specific and a strategic agenda in this administration, the whole approach of taking care of people is very feminist if you want. So yes, it's been very intentional, the fact to use this wording in this approach for the whole process.
You did a lockdown before the rest of Colombia, the rest of the country. Explaining how could you communicate this to the people? How can the people trust in this?
The way we communicated, it was actually the intention. It was a drill. It was a lockdown drill, because we had never experienced something like that in Bogotá and in Colombia, actually. And this drill in Bogotá pushed other cities to do actually the same. So, but it wasn't just about shutting down. It wasn't just about going to quarantine. It was about understanding how it works. I mean, the people who complied, why they did it, and the people who didn't comply, why they were pushed out to the city, to the streets. We needed to understand. It wasn't just the exercise of not going out. It was we conducted surveys. It lasted 4 days, and during the 4 days of lockdown, we conducted, and actually making surveys has been a constant in the whole process. We, as a result of one of these surveys, we realized that 92% of the citizens are complying with the use of masks. But the newspapers and the news also always outline how the people don't comply, and they don't acknowledge the way that most of the people are complying. So this way of measuring all the time, the way the people are increasing the ownership of these measures has been very instrumental to also graduate and orientate the communication strategy. When you talk in public policy, in public administration around communication, it usually goes one way. You know, it's the leader or the administration communicating or addressing the citizens, but just in one way. What I think it's been very, very effective, and if you want innovative, is that it has really been a two-way conversation, a two-way communication strategy, because each time the mayor goes out on a Facebook Live and shares the news and the evolution of the measures that she's taking for the pandemic, every time she answers questions from the citizens. We are measuring what the social media is responding to the measures we're taking as well. We have a real commitment to listening to the people.
Have you learned during the process, what are the main lessons of this time at this moment, 4 months after everything started?
Well, the first lesson, it's very soon to tell, but the importance of being with strategic partners, delivering the message, has been very instrumental. Also, centralize the information around, or the messages around the health system is also very important. And I think it was very key to the whole management of the pandemic that the only two high-level officials that were the speakers, the public speakers for this pandemic were the mayor and the secretary of health. And also to understand that the trust is the key, in Latin America, and perhaps in some other places of the world as well. The public trust in the state and in public services are not necessarily very high. So what we want to do is to take also this as an opportunity to improve and strengthen the awareness and the responsibility, the individual's responsibility towards the public matters.
Is it possible to share something with other cities?
I would outline something that Mayor Lopez has done very well in terms of acknowledging when she makes something wrong, or when she makes a wrong decision, or the administration makes a wrong decision. That is not that usual for public officials, to be honest and to take responsibility for what doesn't necessarily comes out well. For example, she to control the access to shops and banks and commerce. At some point, she decided to have something based on gender. So women went out to the cities one day and could go shopping and enter all these public establishments, and the next day men could do it. But it didn't work that well. And she took back the measure, and she at some point acknowledged publicly that perhaps it wasn't the best way to control the access and agglomerations in some public spaces. So in general terms, I would say that it's not usual that the leaders take responsibility for their faults while they are in charge,